In the catacombs of social science, there lies a narrative that has provoked fiery debates for decades: the Stanford Prison Experiment. In the epoch of the swinging 70s, an era marked by upheaval and radical shifts in society, a psychologist named Philip Zimbardo embarked on a journey that would dramatically alter the landscape of psychology. This journey, today notorious as the Stanford Prison Experiment, is a harrowing testament to the dark corners of human nature that can be illuminated when the boundaries of morality are blurred. Without diving into raw and unsettling specifics right off the bat, allow us to set the stage for the drama that is about to unfurl. The Stanford Prison Experiment was on its face, an investigation into the psychology of power dynamics. It sought to dissect the transformation of ordinary individuals when placed in roles of power or submission. Yet, the execution of this experiment was far from ordinary. The subjects were not trained actors, but real college students who were arbitrarily assigned the roles of either guards or prisoners in a simulated jail. The objective of this chilling experiment? To observe how quickly these ordinary individuals would slip into their assigned roles and the subsequent mental and emotional changes they would undergo. While the experimental design was undeniably groundbreaking, the methodology used has been met with severe backlash. The experiment trampled over the line of ethical conduct, sparking an outcry that reverberates in the halls of academia even today. How far should we tread in the pursuit of knowledge? When does the line between exploration and exploitation start to blur? These questions, among countless others, are what make the Stanford Prison Experiment a subject of everlasting debate and intrigue. It's a sinister story that intersects psychology, morality, and human behavior, a story that compels us to contemplate the depths we're prepared to plunge our quest for understanding. Now, dear listeners, the moment has arrived to peel back the layers of this ominous narrative, to delving deeper into the Stanford Prison Experiment. Who was the man orchestrating this contentious experiment? What was his intent? And what became of the unsuspecting participants who were thrust into this psychologically damaging experiment? Join us as we navigate through the twisted tale of human nature laid bare. To comprehend the origins of this experiment, we must first understand the man behind it, Dr. Philip Zimbardo. A man of sharp intellect and unyielding determination, Zimbardo was a trailblazer in the field of psychology. His life was marked by a deep fascination with understanding human behavior under extreme circumstances. This passion laid the foundation for his groundbreaking work. He believed that situations could influence individuals to act in ways they would not usually behave, a philosophy that would guide his research and eventually lead to the controversial Stanford Prison Experiment. As he delved deeper into the realm of social psychology, Zimbardo began to challenge the prevailing psychological theories of his time. He believed that the nature of human behavior is deeply intertwined with the situations we find ourselves in.
We have to understand how situations shape us, much more than we want to believe. We want to believe that good and evil come from within, that good and evil are essentialized, that they are qualities of people, and they're not.
His views were met with both admiration and heated debate, but Zimbardo remained undeterred, firm in his conviction. His fascination with power dynamics and situational behavior led him to design the Stanford Prison Experiment. His philosophy was simple yet radical. If he could create a simulated prison environment, it would serve as irrefutable proof that situations can provoke individuals to act in ways they would not usually behave. This bold hypothesis was the backbone of the experiment that would not only test the limits of ethical boundaries but also challenge our understanding of human psychology. Armed with the belief that situations could shape behavior, Zimbardo embarked on an experiment that would forever mark his name in the annals of scientific history. In the vast panorama of scientific history, the grim chronicle of the Stanford Prison Experiment is a forbidding and ominous thread. As we dig deeper into this infamous experiment, we'll explore its chilling realities through the very words of those who lived it. The Stanford Prison Experiment, conducted in the early days of the 70s, was not just a scientific investigation but a dark mirror reflecting the bleak realities of a penitentiary atmosphere. Regular college students with no significant psychological issues volunteered to partake. As one of the prisoners would later describe, "We were regular guys, we had no idea what we were walking into." Students were chosen randomly for the roles of prisoners and guards. The prisoners were arrested at their homes without any forewarning. As one prisoner recounted, it was surreal. I knew I had volunteered for this, but being arrested in my own house was terrifying. They were then transported to a simulated prison in the basement of Stanford University. The guards, armed with uniforms, reflective sunglasses, and clubs, tasked to enforce their dominance. One of the guards later confessed, "The uniform, the club, it all made me feel powerful and in control. It was intoxicating." The experiment, initially planned to run for 2 weeks, spiraled out of control, guards exploiting their authority and prisoners experiencing intense distress. It had to be terminated after merely 6 days. The transformation of these mentally healthy individuals raised serious questions about situational forces over personal behavior. Dr. Philip Zimbardo, the man behind the experiment, remarked, "We were stunned to see how quickly and seamlessly these students had morphed into their roles. It was disturbingly enlightening." The narrative of the Stanford Prison Experiment, therefore, serves as a somber testimony to the perils that can arise when the quest for understanding usurps ethical judgments. As we journey through the annals of scientific history, remember the story of the Stanford Prison Experiment. It is a chilling reminder directly from the mouths of those who experienced it of the price of unchecked curiosity. Following the thread of the Stanford Prison Experiment, we find ourselves entangled in a web of disturbing deeds. The participants, morphing into their assigned roles with an unnerving degree of realism, became pawns in a toxic power play. The guards, their dormant, sadistic tendencies awakened by their uniforms and authority, turned into tormentors, their actions a chilling testament to the potential for cruelty when power dynamics are skewed.
No, I was dismayed to find out that I could really be that I could act in a manner so absolutely unaccustomed to anything I would even really dream of doing.
The slightest infractions were met with disproportionate punishments, often crossing the line of humane. They subjected the prisoners to psychological torment, forcing them to endure prolonged solitary confinement and humiliation, depriving them of their identity and dignity.
Here in this closet was solitary confinement, the infamous hole where the guards put prisoners for punishment.
The prisoners, their spirits broken under the oppressive regime of the guards, started to display signs of profound emotional distress. Some even had psychological breakdowns, their psyche unable to withstand the inhumane conditions they were subjected to. As the experiment progressed, the lines between reality and the controlled environment began to blur, the basement of Stanford progressively transforming into a real-life horror show.
Prisoner 819 did a bad thing. Prisoner 819 did a bad thing. Prisoner 819 did a bad thing.
The escalating intensity of the guards' actions brought about the premature termination of the experiment. What was intended to last 2 weeks ended in just 6 days, the emotional damage inflicted on all participants reaching alarming levels. The Stanford Prison Experiment, in its quest to understand human behavior, unveiled the darkest corners of the human psyche. It stands as a grim chapter in the history of social science, serving as a stark reminder of the importance of adhering to ethical standards, even in the relentless pursuit of knowledge.
I feel guilty in part because I was responsible for creating a situation in which people suffered. And so, yes, I felt guilty then, I feel guilty now, and I have worked to resolve that guilt over the past 35 years in many different ways.